Hey guys, hope you're all well. Right, first little job on the 350lc Spondon thingy bike. So the first job I thought I'd do is the side stand to save me keep following it around with that bike jack. Yeah, because that's a little bit of a pain. Well, I'm going to get the side stand done. At least when I wheel it around out my way to do different things, I can just put the stand down then. So what we have is a BMW stand, a selection of springs, we've got the nut and bolt for that somewhere, and a piece of paper to do some markings on, and a big thick piece of rusty steel. Obviously it won't be rusty when we finish with it. So I think with all that we'll get something that works. Now side stands can be a little bit tricky because you've got to get the angles right. It's got to also, in its up position, it's got to sit nice and not stick right out on the bike. So we've got to get an happy medium with the angle when it's down, so the bike stands up, and when the stand's up it ain't sticking right out and it's going to grab out of your boots or your trousers or your posh suit or whatever you choose to ride in and trip you up and fall off and things like that. Right, I'm going to start with a piece of paper. We've got to get these old centres down here, which are M8. These ones. We've got to sort of plot that shape. Then we've got to have a bit that obviously comes off for the stand itself, and then we've got to have a pin for the stand spring. So yeah, it may seem simple, but also with the spring as well, when the stand's down, it's obviously got to stay put. I know sometimes I do set stands up so when you lift the bike up, the stand flicks up. For those people who forget to put them up when they ride off, I've seen that many a time. Anyway, we'll see how it all works out and what we can do to make it good. Let's crack on and start with a piece of paper. Okay, we'll start in a really basic sort of way and try and get a plan just by rubbing my thumb around that part of the frame. There we go. Alright, let's go from there. Right, I just started drawing around this now, the marking that I've done. So that basically is the shape of the frame. We've got a right big chunk of frame in that area. So basically I've got to make sort of a metal bracket that faces up to that, bolts on and carries the stand. So I think I have got to come off the back here, so we sort of forget that line, which is the line of the frame. I think I continue to come off the back here because I need somewhere to put the pin to get the other side of the spring. So that's all at the back. I reckon if I come off there like that, follow that angle, and then let's see how big that part of the stand is. So we want that within the bracket that we're making. I'll say there. That can go like that. And obviously we'll get a radius on that. As you can see, I am just roughing it out. Then this part will obviously have the hole in with a stand pin, and then I'm going to have to fold it there, because that's going to have to angle out a little bit, and then somewhere up in this area will be the pin that takes the other side of the spring, hopefully. Sort of yeah, it's going to give us enough material to mess about. I won't do that hole just yet, because I will turn a pin down on the lathe and weld it in. I think for now, if we take care of that shape, get that done, with how thick this is, I'll probably have to cut it part the way through, get the bend done, then weld it all back up. Because I have got absolutely nothing that will bend that. Right, let's get that basic shape cut out then, and we'll go from there. Oh, I've got most of that sketched down there. Just got to get a bit of a rad there. A bit of ordnance. Bit of ordnance, that's about the right size. Look at that. That goes somewhere near. Right. Now this is going to take a while. I've got to chomp through that with a cutting disc. Right, we have a basic shape cut out. That took some shifting. It really did. I've got to obviously sort it out and tidy it up, but that's a start. So basically, I'm going to do the holes. I'm going to measure them correctly in a moment. I know I marked them up on the piece of paper, but I want to measure the centers and get them spot on, because I think I'm going to mount this to the frame with countersinks. Now obviously this has got to go there. This will have to be sort of cut into so we can bend it out slightly. Then I'm going to have to wait till we've got it on and find out where we want the stand to stop when it's in the up position, because then I'll have to put a little stop of some sort, like one of my little offcuts or whatever, like so, for the stand to stop against. I'm not going to do that till I have got it on the bike for its best place to sort of park up. So yeah, I'm going to tidy that shape up now, get the radiuses in, get this mess off here, get the holes in, and go from there. Yeah, it's a hell of a chunk of material. You're probably thinking, well, that's going to be really heavy, but I wanted the thickness there for the gap in the stand, and I do want it to be strong. Although it's not going to be a really heavy bike, but whatever I do not want failing, especially something like that. When my mate's got all that bike done, it's going to be an expensive build, and I don't want something that I've done, a little tiny bracket, to fail and a very expensive build ends up on its side. Anyway, let's get the rest of that tidied up. Right, it's getting there, it's getting somewhere near. I've got to sort of reduce it a little bit more in places. But I'm going to get a bit of a centre punch on where we want the holes now. Right. That's spot on. Yeah, so I'm going to carry on dressing that up now. Get all the terrible bits off. Looks like I can reduce this a little bit more around there. And then we'll go for trying the stand on there. Trying to know where the stand's got to go. Like I say, this tab here, that has got to be bent out. But I'm going to have to slice it to do that. Right, we're getting there. Okay, we're getting there now. Got the countersink done. All I've got to do now on that bit, now I've got a bit of a guide there, I can get that line round there really nice now, following the head of the countersink. It's a little bit off. It's not bad, but I'd rather just dress it a little bit and get it following it really nice. Right then, that's the main part of the body done for the stand bracket. I think that's neat enough. Although we have sort of got to butter it a little bit. So I'm going to try that on the bike, and then we're going to have to, let's take them out a minute. We're going to have to slice the back of this. I haven't dressed the back up yet, by the way. We're going to have to slice the back of this to bend this part out. I want to drop it on the bike to give me some sort of idea where to do the cut and how far we want to bend this out for the angle of the stand. That fits, that does. How about that? That'll do the job, won't it? Right, let's just get the side stand. Yeah, so what I need to know now then is how far we're going to angle that out, because obviously it can't stay at that angle because the stand goes directly down and we need it. Let's move the camera back a bit. At the minute we got that, but we need it like so, and then it also needs to come up so it sits nice, clears the swing arm, and sort of keeps it out of the way while it's parked up there. So I think what I'll do is do a cut, then have a mess about with the angles till we've got it somewhere I'm happy with, and then we got the spring hanger down here on the stand itself. Then I'm going to need one up here. That's sort of why I've brought this bit out, because obviously the frames would have been in the way. Let's move that up a bit. Yeah, so I need like a peg back here for the spring up there. Right, I've slit into the back of that then. I've gone part way through. I'm going to see if I can move it at that. Might take a bit of shifting. Let's get the big copper slogger on that one. Everything's falling over. I might build a steel bench one day. Probably won't, but thoughts there. Let's see what that looks like. Right, just turning the sort of a spacer down in the lathe now, because obviously we've got that massive hole in there and we're only using a 10mm bolt. So that takes care of the difference in the thickness and the gap and that huge hole. I'll do it. I'll part that off now, and then we can properly sort the angle out on this. Right, got all bolted on there for now. We've got a bit of an angle on there. Now we've got to sort out the bracket for where the stand parks up and where it comes down. So there's got to be a bit of a stop added down this end, or else it's just going to fold up, which we don't really want. And then we've got to do a bit more of a cutout on this end, so this comes up a little bit more, because at the minute that's as far as it'll go up, and obviously that's not good enough. It needs to be up here. So yeah, we just got to do a bit of a cutout for that to come up more, and then something to stop it probably going any further on about that. But it looks like we need to come out a little bit more on the angle as well. So a bit more slogging with the hammer. I've got a bit more of a bend on that now. I just want to basically nick into that so the stand comes up a bit more. Bit of guesswork. Let's see how we go. Right, just done a couple of more adjustments. I'm happy with how far it comes up now. It probably looks like I've got no clearance with the camera angle, but there's nice clearance there from the swing arm. As you can see, I've got my hand through there. I've just got to think about the stop. I think I know where I want it, so it's got something to come against in the down position. But I'm gonna need a different spring, because the amount it's got to stretch compared, like for the up compared to the down, I'm gonna need a full coil, because that little bit ain't gonna do it. I've got this, but it's too long. Just that bit too long. Yeah, but it's definitely going to need a full coiled spring to be able to go from that down to there. Then we got to figure out the pin that it's going to go on. We're getting there though, bit by bit. Right, so I've got the bit of a stop then for the stand when it's in its down position. This is just one of them jobs that's got to evolve as you go along, and it's going to look messy before it gets better. It's the way it is. Well, let's just grind a bit of a shampoo on there, and we'll get some tacking done. Right then, that's the main part of it laid out. It's working all right actually. I've actually took the bike off the jack and it's resting on the stand. That is all good. Yeah, so what I've got to do now is establish what I'm going to do with the spring, whereabouts I'm going to put the pin for obviously the top end of the spring. Yeah, it's going to be difficult till I've got a spring that's going to suit it. I might have to have a bit of a rummage around, see what I've got, or I'm just going to have to order one. Where's them springs? Like I say, because of the travel it needs, that one, that short coil is not going to do it. I'm going to need something with a full coil, but a bit shorter than that. I'll have to see what I've got, or just order one. And then I can continue with this, because really I need the spring to be able to carry on, so I know I'll get it right. But that is basically the main part of it done. I may even be able to trim this off a little bit more, don't know yet. It depends where I'm going to put my pin. I've got to leave it all there till I establish where the pin's got to go for the spring. But that's not too bad. It's nice and strong. It's not going to snap anytime soon. I suppose when it's all powder coated, it'll look the part. Yeah, it parks okay when it's up here as well. It's out of the way of everything. Well, there we go. That'll do. Until I get a spring, that job is more or less sorted. Obviously we've got to do the footrest hangers and the bit that's going to take a bit of time. Well, it's all taking time. That's took several hours just to do that bracket. So yeah, at the end of the day, if we've got to wait for a spring, I'll get on with the footrest hangers, and I'm still continuing with the RM anyway, so there's plenty to do. But I'm going to call it a video on that one. You can sort of see what direction it's going in, and it's nearly one of the jobs ticked off the list. That'll do. Cheers for watching, guys. Take care.